Welcome back to N's NotebookLM. So what if I told you there was a single, powerful idea that could explain the very best and the absolute worst of human behavior? What if it could explain everything from the pyramids and Shakespeare all the way to the horrors of the Holocaust? Well, today we're diving into a theory that claims to do just that.
All right, so to get our heads around this, we have to start with the central puzzle of our own existence. There's this fundamental contradiction that really defines who and what we are.
Just think about it for a second. We're the species that writes breathtaking symphonies and builds concentration camps. We compose beautiful poetry, and we commit genocide. Now, according to the philosopher Ernest Becker, this isn't just some weird quirk. Oh no, it's the absolute core of the human experience. So how? How can one creature possibly contain such wildly opposite potentials?
And here's where Becker's big idea comes in. He argues we're basically split right down the middle. On one hand, you have our symbolic self. This is the part of us that lives in a world of ideas, of meaning, of legacy. It's the part that can literally imagine infinity. But, and it's a huge but, that godlike mind is trapped inside a physical animal body. A body that, let's be honest, is fated to get old, decay, and just disappear. And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? Becker's own words capture this impossible situation perfectly. We are, at the exact same time, worms and gods. We can soar to the heavens in our minds, but we are forever stuck to a body that will one day become food for worms. And you know what the real kicker is? It's our conscious awareness of this contradiction that creates this deep, constant terror, a terror we then spend our entire lives trying to deal with. So, that brings us to the next logical question. If we're all walking around with this constant underlying terror, how do we even manage to get out of bed in the morning? Well, we build defenses, really sophisticated, multi-layered defenses against the awful truth of our situation.
And this, right here, is the absolute heart of the theory. According to Becker, the fear of death is the mainspring of pretty much all human activity. It's not just a motivator, it is the central motivator. It's what drives us to create, to achieve, to build, to believe, all of it, in a desperate, often unconscious attempt to deny the fact that we're going to die.
Now, our first line of defense is totally personal. You know that thing you call your personality? Well, Becker argues it isn't really your true self. He borrows this term, character armor. It's like this fortress we build out of habits, beliefs, and routines that makes the world feel safe and manageable. We construct this armor to feel in control, and ultimately to convince ourselves that we're more than just this mortal body. But that personal armor, it's not enough. We need something bigger than ourselves, and that's where society comes in, with the second line of defense, what Becker calls a hero system. Culture essentially is a giant stage for symbolic action. It offers us all these different ways to feel significant, to feel important, and to achieve a kind of substitute immortality. By participating, whether it's through religion or patriotism or even just climbing the corporate ladder, we get to feel like we're part of something bigger, something that's going to outlast our own bodies.
But, and this is a huge but, this whole quest for heroism, this deep, deep need to feel like our lives matter, it comes at a terrible price. And this is where the theory takes a really dark turn. Okay, here it is. This might be the most shocking and important point of the entire idea. Our attempts to be heroes, to believe we're on the side of good, are the primary cause of evil in the world. Think about it. When my path to immortality, my God, my nation, my ideology, has to be the one true path, then your different path suddenly becomes a mortal threat to my existence.
And you don't have to look far in history to see this play out in the most horrific ways. These conflicts weren't just about politics or economics, they were cosmic wars. Each side was fighting for its vision of immortality, its ultimate definition of meaning. And to make sure my hero system is supreme, yours has to be wiped out. The enemy becomes the living embodiment of evil, a scapegoat that has to be destroyed to purify the world and prove that our claim to eternal meaning is the right one.
Okay, so that's the grand historical scale. But what about us? Right here, right now, in our modern world. Especially since many of those traditional hero systems, like organized religion, don't have the same hold they used to.
Well, Becker argues that in the modern world, we've come up with what he calls the romantic solution. We've taken this infinite, cosmic need for meaning and immortality, and we've tried to stuff it all into one other person, our romantic partner. They become our reason for living, our source of all meaning, the person who's supposed to save us from feeling insignificant. We literally try to turn another flawed human being into our own personal God. But of course, this solution is doomed to fail.
Why? Because you can't deify a mortal animal. This quote from Jonathan Swift. I know it's a bit provocative, but it captures the contradiction perfectly. We want our partner to be this sublime, perfect angel, but we can never escape the fact that they are a physical, decaying body, just like us. No single person can possibly bear the weight of another's entire cosmic significance. It's an impossible burden.
So, wow, after laying all of this out, from the grand scale of human history down to the intimacy of our relationships, where does that leave us? I mean, how are we supposed to live with this pretty difficult knowledge? Let's just do a quick recap of the argument we've walked through. We are paradoxical creatures. As Becker so bluntly put it, we're gods with anuses. This creates a deep terror of death, which we then manage through our personal character armor and the cultural hero system society provides. But the real tragic twist is that when these hero systems clash, they produce the very evil we claim to be fighting. And today, we often unload this impossible burden onto the people we love the most.
And that brings us right to the end, to the really challenging question. If this fundamental drive for significance, this need to be a hero, is what powers both our most beautiful creativity and our most horrific destruction, what do we do with that? How can we be heroic without creating enemies? How do we find meaning without denying the truth of our own mortality? There's no easy answer, but just understanding the question, that's the first and maybe the most important step. If this topic has captured your interest and you'd like to dive deeper, the book is called The Denial of Death by Ernest Becker.